In 2009, U.S. Congress authorized $787 billion to be loaned out to the banks that were considered to be illiquid. So the banks were supposed to get this money because supposedly they had a problem of liquidity. When in reality, the banks were insolvent, of course, and they had a problem of solvency, and they were all bankrupt, and they were worth exactly nothing. But people like Paul Krugman at the time said that this stimulus was too small to fix the economy. Yeah, he said it was too small. He said the 787 billion stimulus was not nearly big enough to fill the well over $2 trillion hole in the economy. So he thought that the $2 trillion would have made, the difference, not the 787 billion. Well, he got his wish, by the way. As quantitative easing 1 and 2 came out, and it was $1.7 trillion. The economy still didn't recover, but maybe he was right. Maybe the QE 1 and 2 were too late, a bit too late. Maybe it was supposed to be $2 trillion at the moment of TARP, when the TARP came out, that was going to fix the economy. Well, now we find out that the real money that was given to the banks was $7.7 trillion. So that's 3.5 times bigger than Krugman wanted to give to the banks to supposedly fix the economy. Well, what really happens when governments print money is that they increase the monetary supply, but they don't produce anything with for this money, right? If you throw the money out of the equation of economy, you just have people bartering for things. So somebody catches a fish and somebody makes a table, the exchange. You introduce the money into it to make the exchange easier, so that you don't have to carry your hammers and your TVs around that you produce and exchange hammers for TVs. So you have the money that represent the goods that are created. In reality, when you just counterfeit the money, you print the money, and the other party builds tables, and you give them your money that you just printed for the tables that they just built. What you're really doing, you're stealing their tables, and if they're stupid enough to accept the transaction, it's their loss, really. So in this case, what you have here is Chinese and others are having a trade surplus with U.S. and U.S. has a trade deficit with all these countries to the tune of $53 billion a month. And obviously that means that U.S. is basically printing $53 billion a month to take this goods in, because where else is this money coming from? Obviously U.S. didn't earn this money, they're just printing it. You have these people at Occupy Wall Street complaining about this situation. Yeah, 7.7 trillion bailout. They're upset that this money went to the banks, but they would rather have this money go to people. But there's no difference if the money are going to the banks or money going to people. If you just print the money, again, you're not really participating in a fair economy. You're just stealing from people who are making things, and you're stealing with counterfeit money. Okay. In reality, to have a real economy, you need to produce something in order to exchange it for the goods that are produced by other people, because that's what trade is for. Trade is for exchange of goods. My point is, people like Paul Krugman, they give the politicians an excuse to print the money. And politicians always want to print the money. They just want to print the money to buy votes, and they want to print the money to give favors to their preferred institutions like the banks. And they want to have their perpetual wars, and that's how you do it, by printing money. Obviously you cannot tax people enough, and you cannot even borrow enough, and then you just reserve, you just go to where every other failed government or failed nation ever went to, the road of printing money. That's how USSR ended its existence. That's how Roman Empire fell, and that's what happened to Argentina and the Weimar Republic of Germany, and so on. There were like 100 cases of this in the past 150 years, and that's what Paul Krugman really wants to see. I mean, he doesn't understand inflation. He thinks deflation is evil, while in reality, 19th century USA, deflation was the norm. Okay, and the dollar started at half the value that it ended in the 19th century, and USA was a large debtor nation in the beginning of the 19th century, and became a large creditor nation at the end of it, and it was the largest producer of manufactured goods, high quality, low price manufactured goods. The government shouldn't be allowed to print money, to counterfeit money, because this is theft, and it destroys the economy, because it prevents any kind of economic activity that is not money printing in your own country, because there's no way you can actually do have any savings in an economy that destroys the savings, basically. But this is a bigger question than that. I mean, should the government even be allowed to pass any new laws all the time? Imagine if in the universe the laws of physics, the basic laws of physics, were changing all the time. The mass of, I don't know, mass of iron was changing, or like energy equals mc squared. All of a sudden it was energy equals mc cubed, and then 2 years from that it was energy equals m and nothing else. And so how would you have? You wouldn't have, the suns and the stars, and you wouldn't have the planets. You wouldn't have life. And the government that changes the basic laws of the society and economy is preventing instability in the economy. It doesn't improve anything, but it does create this instability. And it's the same with money printing. It's the same with any other laws. And that's why we shouldn't be listening to people like Paul Krugman, and we shouldn't be allowing government to listen to people like Paul Krugman, who just want to infinitely print the money and not produce anything, and supposedly this will somehow magically create all the products. Well, the magic really is just about outsourcing the productivity to other nations, and the magic is about printing the money. Yeah, it's kind of it's like magic, right? And Obama just came out and said that payroll taxes should be cut for the poor and the middle class, while the taxes should be increased on the rich. Well, in reality, all it does is it pushes the production and pushes the investment capital out of the country, and you end up with a bunch of poor people. I mean, you're not going to end up with a bunch of rich people this way. You're going to end up with a bunch of poor people, and yes, they will have a little bit more money in their pockets, but the investment will have much less money, because the only real investment is private investment. If you could have government investing and actually building a viable economy without private individuals doing so, then USSR would have been a place to be, and Zimbabwe as well, where they printed all kinds of money, and you could have $1 trillion in your pocket. I mean, $1 trillion in your pocket, right? But you still wouldn't be able to buy anything with that, like not even a box of matches. So that's my rant for this afternoon. Don't listen to people like Paul Krugman. He got his Nobel Prize in economics. Well, it's worth about as much as the Nobel Prize in peace that Obama got as well. How many wars is US in right now? Okay? Vote on Paul in 2012, because otherwise, I mean, you're going to be next Argentina, not next Japan, next Argentina. Thank you.